Ian Rapoport, NFL Media Insider at Rap Sheet. The NFL Network training camp coverage airs Tuesday, July 26th through Wednesday, August the 10th. And we'll talk a little NFL with him as a lot of NFL news, Ian, as we get ready to start training camps on Wednesday with the Saints. How are you, pal?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Doing well, and we know that football is basically a year-round thing, but it takes a little lull, but it just picked back up starting with Friday's announcements of all the franchise tags and everything that happened. Was there a surprising moment about Friday? Were there any surprises of what ended up happening on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, I think, to me, the Von Miller deal was we knew that was going down on Thursday. I mean, as soon as we found out it was $70 million guaranteed that he'd been offered, I mean, that deal was happening. So, for that, it was really just about finalizing and dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and that was happening. The kicker deal, I don't think there was any surprise there for Justin Tucker. It was really Muhammad Wilkerson, and that was no one from either side talked to anyone, it seemed, in the media for about 12 hours. A lot of people assumed it was actually just there's going to be no deal. I got a really strange call at like 4:08 asking me the numbers of the Muhammad Wilkerson deal, and my response was there a deal? And this was 8 minutes past the deadline, which rarely happens. So, you spend the next 15 minutes scrambling, get the numbers, and by that point, the team was about ready to announce, and it all kind of caught fire. But that was... that rarely happens. That was a deal that I don't think anyone saw coming. That, the final offer came in at 3:15 a.m. I mean, it was just, it was really a whirlwind. But I know for the Jets and for Muhammad Wilkerson, a pretty good outcome in the end.
And how much, in your opinion, did the Fletcher Cox deal have an impact on that deal and maybe even the Von Miller deal?
Yeah, I think on the Von Miller deal, it definitely had an impact. Probably not on Muhammad Wilkerson. Just because the numbers aren't quite the same. But, on the Von Miller deal, I mean, every big deal that happened before Von got his just upped his asking price a little bit more, whether it's, and I know that the Broncos changed the structure of the guarantees they were going to pay Von Miller after the Fletcher Cox deal. I mean, the Fletcher Cox deal is an unbelievably clever deal for the agents, just as far as how it's structured. Mainly because the guarantee, and this is sort of getting into the weeds a little bit, but the guarantees trigger after 9 months, but those guarantees affect years 3 and 4. So it's like Fletcher Cox can know where he's going to be in 3 years just based on what happens the first 9 months. So it's actually a really clever way of doing it, and the Broncos kind of adopted that, and that helped them get the Von Miller deal done.
Going back to the Jets for 1 second, Ian, getting the deal done, and I agree with you, it was a big surprise with Mo Wilkerson at the end. What that does, though, is enable that team to lower his cap number for this upcoming season, and does that make it more likely to get Ryan Fitzpatrick in? Because to me, if the Jets don't have any intention on bringing him in, wouldn't they have already declared, say, thanks for everything, Ryan, declared Geno Smith the starter?
Well, it's really a question of value. It's, like cap space is one thing, but that's really an accounting issue. It's really what number do they value Ryan Fitzpatrick? Is it $12 million a year? Is it 14? Is it, 8 a year? I mean, where actually do they value him? And it just hasn't been enough to get a deal done. I mean, it's two sides. I'm sure I've checked in over the past couple months, but nothing to where, the things really caught fire and there was really a lot of traction to get a deal done. So at this point, there's nothing yet. And, I'm sure some people think something will happen a couple days before camp, but, we're getting closer and closer to there, and there's just nothing on the horizon just yet.
Ian, let's shift it back towards the Philadelphia Eagles here in South Jersey. What do you think of this plan, which is obviously the Eagles' intent, to play Sam Bradford? Chase Daniel's going to be the backup, and Carson Wentz, the number 2 overall pick, is going to be inactive, the emergency quarterback. is that a prudent path to go? And how much pressure do you think is going to be on this organization to veer away from that plan?
Well, I mean, this has been the plan for a long time. This really has been the plan. I mean, I remember when Sam Bradford signed this extension, and the Eagles reached out and said to the quarterbacks, we're still interested in evaluating you guys. And it was a sign that the current situation did not affect the future situation. And you signed Bradford to a big money deal, but a short-term deal. Obviously, Chase is under contract. You sign these quarterbacks, you pay them a lot of money to make sure that your rookie doesn't have to play. And there have been some rookies who have succeeded right away. I would imagine there's a lot more that haven't. So, if you want to, you can throw your quarterback out there, and I'm sure fans want it because, unfortunately for them, it's not their jobs on the line. But, just tossing a rookie quarterback out there into the fire is not often the best way to go. Everybody wants to see this guy, but if he's bad or not ready, then no one's going to want to see him. So I like the thought of just putting Carson Wentz on the bench. He'll play whenever he's ready. What if it's in 2 years, but then you get a great quarterback for the next 14 years? Would that be worth it?
I think a lot of people would take that trade-off, Ian. My question to you would be, do you think that will become a trend around the league? Because, you look at the college game, and it just seems like these guys aren't NFL ready anymore. So the way that the college offenses have changed, do more teams look at what the Eagles did and say, you know what, we'd like to go down that road?
I think if it works out, yeah. Now the question, the issue is you have to have someone who is in there and who can really play. A lot of the teams that start rookie quarterback don't have another option. Unless it's like so obvious that the guy's going to be your starter forever, like, with Russell Wilson in Seattle. I mean, they had a veteran in there. They had a veteran in there in Matt Flynn, and Russell Wilson was just much, much, much better. But, if you have a stopgap who can come in and really play and run your offense and have a viable team for a year or two, that seems to be the way to do it. I think teams always try to do that, but the problem is the teams that often pick first are always the teams that are terrible, so they don't have a lot of good quarterback options.
Ian Rapoport, NFL Media Insider at Rap Sheet, NFL Network Training Camp Tuesday the 26th through Wednesday the 10th. And what does we know that Agholor not going to get in any more trouble with the law, but could the league come down with something for him?
Yeah, they could. I think it's possible. The league is reviewing and trying to figure out what it knows and what it doesn't know. And that's one thing this year is that in the last 2 years that the league does their own investigation. So, he's not quite off the hook yet, but obviously the DA coming out and saying he's not going to press charges is significant news for Nelson Agholor and for the Eagles. But it's also, I think, what Agholor and the Eagles thought was going to happen when they first caught wind of this.
Ian, let's keep it in the NFC East, shift to Washington for a minute. And can you kind of give your thoughts on what happened with Kirk Cousins in that negotiation? Because if you look at, obviously, Brock Osweiler getting $18 million from Houston, Sam Bradford here getting the $18 million, the 22 guaranteed. And from all accounts, Washington was probably starting at 16 or so for Cousins. Do you think that was a prudent decision, or at some point do you have to say this is the going rate, even if you're not convinced Kirk Cousins is an elite-level quarterback?
Well, that's one thing about the franchise tag is you don't have to pay the going rate. I think they could have. I think the Redskins could have paid him, probably $18 million. I think that probably would have got done. They just didn't offer that. And really, it's a situation. Everyone wants a long-term deal. All sides do, but I'm not sure it's bad for Kirk Cousins to have to play it out again. So often quarterbacks have to prove it twice, 2 years in a row, before they can show they're the franchise guy. The Redskins want to see him do it again. And for Cousins, if he does it again, then he's really, really going to capitalize. So I actually think it benefits both parties from just to go out and play great. And after that, he'll be rich. The Redskins will pay a lot, but it'll be good for everyone.
We're talking with Ian Rapoport here. Get ready to wrap things up. Before we do, real quick, I saw Arian Foster, any market out there, him going to Miami? Is that, basically his one suitor, or do you think things will open up for him?
Well, he's got a visit coming up later in the week for Detroit, so that'll be interesting if he gets there. I mean, the question now is, does Miami sign him today or not? And we will see.
All right, Ian Rapoport, NFL Media Insider at Rap Sheet on Twitter. And don't forget, NFL Network's got the training camp coverage starting on Tuesday, July 26th through Wednesday, August 10th here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, guys.